Hello, welcome to Gagrul.net. My name is Wally Sarkisian. Our guest, Vic Gerami. He is an Armenian, talented guy, and he is like reading his resume take a long time, but he's a journalist, a columnist, a radio show host, and media contributor, who is also a publisher and editor of the Blunt Post. He has primetime radio show, The Blunt Post with Vic, and independent radio KPFK 90.7 FM, Pacifica Network. And he also is the founder and creator of the multi-award winning documentary Motherland, Artsakh. And now he has new project, as far as I know it's new, must be in there for a while, called TAAL, T-A-A-L. So that's why we want to understand what TAAL is. So Vic, welcome.
Thank you, Wally. Thanks for having me. Much appreciated. As far as, so TAAL stands for Truth and Accountability League, which I founded shortly after the invasion of Artsakh in 2020. It's a 501c nonprofit advocacy organization that I thought was very much needed to really defend the Armenian history and culture and the truth and what's happening now at the level of media, public policy, academics, intelligentsia, and human rights organizations. Basically what we do is we monitor and address whenever there's disinformation, lies, bias, propaganda against Armenians, Armenia, and Artsakh, such as BBC or New York Times, whatnot, writing either half-truths or just, fallacies, etc. We also confront public elected officials who are biased or sort of don't address the truth. In the recent case with the city of Beverly Hills and all the anti-Armenian, Armenophobic flyers that were posted. We confronted the mayor of Beverly Hills for that. We do lots of things. It's basically a anti-defamation organization, but also to educate and to really walk people through to the facts. We all know, we've seen it in the news, social media, everywhere. All the propaganda that's out there that's being produced by Azerbaijan and Turkey and their allies. So we work diligently to correct those and address them.
Is this like a non-profit organization that you created?
Yes, it's a 501c nonprofit advocacy organization. It's very much like what ADL or Anti-Defamation League is for the Jewish community, or GLAD is for the LGBT community. This is for the Armenian communities throughout the world. Some of the things that we've done just recently include, for example, when Azerbaijan put up these propaganda posters all over London's subway stations that called many of Armenia's and Artsakh's monument Azerbaijani. We did a campaign and wrote to all the officials in England, and we had them taken off. For example, the city of Beverly Hills, you might have heard or seen just over a month ago, there were all these anti-Armenian flyers posted. The city didn't do a good job addressing them. The only thing that came out of the city was a single tweet from its mayor, Lily Bassi, that said there's no room for hate in Beverly Hills, which is very redundant, and it's just not enough. If it was a different minority group that this was about, there would have been outrage. So I confronted her, I wrote to her, and I reached out to people. And the outcome was that there was a meeting. They contacted Glendale Mayor Artie Kasakian, and the mayor of Beverly Hills met with Artie, and they had a conversation. So it's, we do with all kinds of things. We just did a campaign to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York to get Azanovsky's name, or ethnicity, I should say, changed from Ukrainian to Armenian to reflect the fact. It was recently changed from Russian to Ukrainian. And so we did a campaign, and other people also were outraged about this. And we got them to change it. They changed it and did a bio on him, included his Armenian name and his background, essentially. So yes, it's a TAAL, which stands for Truth and Accountability League, is a nonprofit organization.
Wow, good for you. This is for how many years this has been going on, you said?
Just over 2 years, about 2.5 years.
Wow. I'm amazed we didn't hear about it.
Unfortunately, there was a need for this, because as soon as the invasion of Artsakh happened, of course, the Azerbaijani side was so well prepared, and this was so orchestrated. They were just coming up with all kinds of disinformation that they were putting in media. I mean, we all know about the Azerbaijan laundromat caviar diplomacy. They have paid these 5-star, 5-diamond press trips for journalists they bring in from all over the world and feed them lies, and ask them to write about sort of their absurd version of Azerbaijan and such. They hire lobbying firms and public relations firms mostly in Europe and the US to do paid placements in publications. We know this has happened in Huffington Post, New York Times, BBC. They have relationships. They do what's called strategic partnerships, right? Where it's basically pay per play. So they have strategic partnerships with New York Times, BBC, and there's one more that we just uncovered recently. So they do, their resources, the money and all that they have is tremendous, and they sort of navigate through all different elements of society, and to get favorable reporting and writing and such on Azerbaijan, and whitewash their human rights violations, and just to confuse people.
How many people is helping you in this?
Well, I work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there are a few volunteers here and there that help me or join me with some sort of a project. But we need to expand, because the need is tremendous. We need funding, and it takes a long time to get funding. Government funding takes a long time if you even get it. So funding is really important to us, because, I'll just give you an example. About a week ago, I sat through Wikipedia, and in less than an hour, I found 54 Wikipedia listings that were false, that either Azerbaijanis or Turkish had edited to reflect false information. And the way they do this, because Wikipedia requires you to source your claim, right? So if I put Wally is French, I have to have some sort of an article or something legit that states this. Well, Azerbaijan produces all of these, fictional articles, and they're sort of affiliates also. So they source those, and they're able to get through to Wikipedia. So you go through Wikipedia and you look up all kinds of things related to Armenia or Artsakh. It's been changed. It's been modified to reflect their absurdity. Right now, the Getty Museum, we're trying to sort of have a conversation with the Getty because they did an exhibit about cultural wealth and monuments and antiquity that were destroyed, and they completely ignored the thousands of Armenian monuments that has been destroyed in the last 100+ years, including Nakhichevan, the Julfa Cemetery, and all the churches and monasteries in Western Armenia. They completely just left that out. So it just seems like we're getting it from all over the place.
Yeah.
It's a lot happening to address. The one thing I want Armenian people to know, and I think a lot of them do already, is Azerbaijan and Turkey's war is not just on the ground with Armenia and Artsakh. Half of it is an information war. Half of it is a propaganda war. It's a public relations war. And they've been sort of preparing for this for years. So now we're trying to catch up with their, very well planned and comprehensive campaigns of hate, disinformation, and propaganda. And it's very critical because a lot of politicians throughout the world, they don't really know much about what's happening. They may not even know much about Armenia itself. So they're sort of relying on data that's out there, whether it's educational documents or articles or sources that they trust. So Azerbaijan going in and changing these sources and to reflect their fictitious reality, it's very dangerous.
Well, that's probably their plan is bring Armenia to this so-called peace, whatever, control Armenia so Armenian cannot talk anymore, cannot say anything, and then they will turn on the diaspora, which is right now they're doing too. And so it's a very designed, plan, organized. They know what they're doing. It's just like the Armenians don't know what is happening, And that's, I think you deserve this organization you created. Really, for a long time, I've been even saying we need some task force, social media task force or something like that, because they were able to blackmail Monty. Like you can't. They blocked me for 40 days just because I put this picture. And so it's really, really what you're doing. It's very important. And then you have now they use this Pegasus, all this stuff. Of course, Pashinyan use it too. They're spying on people. I told you what happened to me. They just came in my computer, took a video file, and went into Twitter. They replaced the video, which is not possible. So they have lots of tools and things in their disposal.
The virus that I sent you a warning about, but you said that it already had affected you. The virus that goes into your computer and essentially takes complete control of your computer and can copy all your files and everything, and it can spy on you. So these are major things that are happening that's sort of undermining Armenia as a nation, Artsakh as a republic, and just our efforts. And they have to be confronted aggressively and exposed for what they're doing.
Yeah.
They go to smaller towns across the U.S., the Azerbaijani Consulate General, and they get them to write proclamations on the so-called Khojaly massacre, right?
Yeah.
Something that we know was an inside job. It was a false flag operation by Azerbaijan, so they can blame the Armenians. But so these unsuspecting mayors of, small town Ohio or Iowa or Kentucky or whatnot, they do these proclamations, not doing their thorough homework. And then Armenians have to go in and sort of get them to rescind their statements and such So they're very clever. They have infiltrated LAPD and the sheriff's department here in LA.
Yeah.
Um, and it's uh, it's uh, it's quiet, organized, and they have unlimited money and resources to do this. So, we at Truth and Accountability League, we're so small and just barely able to um, barely keep up with the demand of what's happening. I just, like, about a week ago, I received a message on Facebook. An Armenian woman in North Carolina said that there's some Azerbaijan celebration day, and they're trying to, like, put in some anti-Armenian wording and such, and if I could help them. I try to help wherever I can, but you can only do so much.
Yeah.
There's only so much bandwidth that you have.
I think, I mean, you rub shoulder with some of those American politicians, and do those people get the message? Can they help?
Well, they know. They know. I think most Armenian Americans that are in sort of in the middle of it all, if you will, they know, and they're doing what they can themselves. It's Everyone is doing whatever they can with their own contacts and circles and organizations. It's just the demand is a lot, and there's never been an organization that has dealt specifically with this, specifically with this cyber war, this information war that's been unleashed on the Armenians by Azerbaijan and Turkey and their allies. So now we have one, and we only concentrate on this to really combat it and to make sure that they know, and newspapers and all media outlets are held accountable for what they write. For example, a lot of newspapers will refer to Artsakh as an enclave, right? So I write to the editors and say, Artsakh is not an enclave. Artsakh is an independent republic that became a republic even before Azerbaijan or even Armenia. They declared their independence from USSR in 91. They're a republic. They're not an enclave. That's a very dismissive way to address Artsakh. Often, I'm sure you've read this, they talk about, just a couple of days ago when the three Armenian officers were killed in an ambush, some of the press was writing, skirmishes happened again in Azerbaijan. So we have to write to them and say it was not a skirmish. This was a calculated, well-planned attack by Azerbaijan to actually cross borders to Artsakh and kill 3 Armenian officers. I mean, it's on video. So we have to be on top of all of this inaccuracy in media. Some are just biased, some are just lazy journalism, regurgitated from other sources that Azerbaijan puts out there, constantly.
How about those institutions like ANCA and also Armenian Assembly? Do they help?
They do a lot of sort of advocacy in DC, in the political level, with elected officials and such. And they do sometimes address, like, the more, I've seen in the past, like, something really egregious. They have also chimed in. But, everyone's got their hands full. We really specialize in this. My background as a journalist, as someone in media, I'm very familiar with public relations. I wanted the Truth and Accountability League, or TAAL, to really center on this. the information and getting the record straight, because
Where do
you know.
where is like if people want to donate or contact, where do they go?
Oh, sure. People can donate on the Truth and Accountability's website, and also find out information, look at our work, examples, initiatives. The website is truthandaccountabilityleague.org. So truthandaccountabilityleague.org. I know it's a mouthful, but even if you just Google it, it'll come up.
We're just
I
putting it there too, so people could see
Oh,
it.
thank you. It's we try to update all the initiatives and all the accomplishments that we did. Of course, early on, the two things that I'm very proud of, which happened just over 2 years ago, was getting the city of West Hollywood to formally recognize the Independent Republic of Artsakh, and as well as city of Burbank to recognize Artsakh. We've done other stuff. I just recently got the mayor of West Hollywood um, to do a statement, a resolution condemning Azerbaijan and standing in solidarity with Artsakh. And this was an official City of West Hollywood resolution that happened, and they are actually screening my film Motherland on March 21st. And something else I should tell you is, so we'd come down on the mayor of Irvine last year, Farah Khan, strongly because of her just anti-Armenian record, people that she's affiliated with, as well as a video that was uncovered of her laughing at a joke, an Armenian genocide
We
joke.
we publish that.
You know, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So this, we really came down on them really strong. So the vice mayor of Irvine, Tammy Kim, talked to me and said, let's do a screening of your film, Motherland, which we did about 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then I
in the
forgot
city
to
council.
come.
It's okay. It's okay. Next time. So we screened the film in the city council chambers, and a lot of council members were there and other officials and such. And 2 days ago, they passed a resolution unanimously, the city council, to build an Armenian genocide memorial in Grand Park in Irvine. So we took a lemon and turned it into a lemonade, and now there's a lot of awareness about Armenians and Armenian genocide and such, because we addressed it, because Farah Khan didn't just do what she did.
I think she just shot herself in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, she did. So so now we're gonna rally around Vice Mayor Tammy Kim and help her to become the next mayor. I had several people in the community, Armenians, who said that the film made a big difference in city council approving the genocide memorial.
Or maybe I should invite her to come here and talk about it.
Oh, she would love it. She would love it. She's great. She would love it. Yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot. I ended up sending. I made the film for educational purposes, not for profit. So I didn't care about profit or anything like that. So even though it's available for people to watch on Vimeo, but I sent it to all the members of the House of Representatives, Senate, European Union, Council of Europe, and the British House of Lords and House of Commons. I sent them the screener link and password for them to watch it.
The way you did that documentary, it was just incredible. It was just so well done.
Thank you. So if we all do a little bit, if we are all soldiers right now, we can move mountains. We can move mountains.
We could.
Because this isn't 1915. We Armenians now are all over the world. We're educated, we're resourceful, we're clever. We just have to be activists now, you know, and so that we can really see through this really tough, to put it lightly, tough period that our motherland is going through and our people are going through.
And we're divided now, never been before like this. I don't know how you're going to solve that problem. And that's the worst part, you know.
We have to push through it. We have to do our best. Everyone has to do a little bit of, you know, trying to have social cohesion, trying to put our differences aside, and push through it. Listen, there'll always be divisions. There'll always be differences because we're all built differently, and that's okay. But right now, we've gotta work together to for just one common cause, and the common cause is really saving Artsakh and Armenia. I mean, Azerbaijan, you know, is taken up, you know, parts of Armenia. They've occupied it. This is no joke, and we know that they are sort of sitting and waiting for Sunnik. You know, they have that's their bottom line. That's their end game. Always has been to take Sunnik. And when I say Sunnik, for those who sort of are not familiar with the map of Armenia, we're talking about a third of Armenia, because that will connect Nakhichevan to mainland Azerbaijan and Turkey, and they will be able to do whatever they want to do, essentially cutting off Armenia from Iran, the only viable trade partner that's a lifeline for Armenia. So this is really serious, and if that were to happen, the situation will be really dire, because, you know,
The only difference, sorry to cut you, the only difference between Armenia and Azerbaijan, Azerbaijanis, they talk and they do it, and they follow up with it. Armenians, nothing. This is the problem. Like, for example, in Germany, you saw that Azerbaijan, right in front of all the world, told Pashinyan, he said, you know, you capitulated and your people elected you. So your people all agree what we're doing. And he never said one word. This is the problem.
Azerbaijan also has the kind of unlimited resources
Yes,
Armenia
of
doesn't.
course.
You know, it's, you know, we know about the Azerbaijan laundromat. That was, you know, billions of euros or pounds,
Yes.
that funneled through European and American elected officials and media companies and other sorts of, you know, stakeholders and decision makers. Armenia doesn't have that kind of resource. Armenia is constantly trying to stop the bleeding. And
But
every
Armenia
time
has intelligence,
yes.
but they don't use it.
Well, we've got it. We're part of that. We all have to be partners with that. And again, I acknowledge that a lot of work needs to be done from both Armenia and diaspora, but I do understand that they're in such a tough situation, being pushed by Russia on one side, Azerbaijan and Turkey on the other side, and all the other outside elements that are not so obvious, but they're also playing a big role in sort of, you know, people wanting to subjugate Armenia, so that everyone can have their own interest, you know, self-interest realized. It's a very dangerous and tight rope. We've seen Armenia go a little westward, and then Russia comes in and retaliates. Finally, I think EU having some people on the ground is really a good thing, but of course it's agitating Russia, and Unfortunately, the U.S. has been disengaged, which has left a vacuum for other nations to come in and try to control, like Russia and Turkey. So, you know, I go by a few slogans. One of them is, if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So we've got to be all in motion, right? Just constantly try to push this forward, and we've got to be aggressive. We can't be passive anymore. We can't even be simply advocating what we did for decades. It worked then. Now it's time for really confronting them in a big way, and it works. Because they've unleashed the war on all sides, including the information war. And you know, there's it seems like everything that happens hurts Armenia. For example, the fact that Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which made the world say, you know, we're not going to buy Russian oil and gas, even though they do, because it's laundered through Azerbaijan. So what that did was it put Azerbaijan in a more of a control space again. Yeah. And now European Union is so reliant on Azerbaijan, they're not condemning it. And of course, they're turning a blind eye to the fact that Azerbaijani oil is partly laundered Russian oil. So all of these elements, you know, are really working against Armenia. Yeah. UK, which has a huge interest in Azerbaijan, always had in oil and gas. They want to build a new pipeline, an oil pipeline, to go from Azerbaijan through Sunik to Turkey to the Mediterranean. Well, what does that mean? It means they would want Sunik to be part of Azerbaijan. So you're dealing with this, you know, the almighty, the British Empire, you know, which has always been has had no other interest but their own.
The Turks always have this big appetite. They never enough for them. Whether if you make a Artsakh, they're gonna need. I mean, look at Nakhichevan. We were when Armenia liberated Karabakh. Our hope was next is Nakhichevan. Now we can't even hold on to Artsakh. So it's just well,
it's the pan-Turkic expansionism that's at play. That's why a lot of people are saying this is the continuation of the Armenian genocide. Armenian genocide simply just sort of was dormant for some decades, and now it's resumed because it seems like, and pan-Turkism was part of the reason for the Armenian genocide. So Erdogan has made no bones about it that he wants pan-Turkism to connect all Turkic nations, and in the way is Armenia. And so, of course, this is part of their grand plan, and we're seeing this. I mean, this is a man that right after an earthquake, he didn't even stop bombing northern Syria. Yeah. The people that had just gone through an earthquake are now being bombed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talk about brutality, and yet, you know, you have Secretary Blinken and other American officials calling Turkey an ally and this and that because they're in NATO. So, believe me, Wally, sometimes smoke comes out of my ears when I read or watch this kind of hypocrisy and double standard. You know,
Armenia,
our selective outrage, our nation's selective outrage of what is okay and what is not okay, and how we basically differentiate based on self-interest.
Armenia need the best diplomat in the world to manage all these things. Armenia doesn't have that. Armenian, by design, they don't, when it comes to diplomacy and politics, they are horrible because they never had a country to build this experience, you know. So Armenia is in Armenia, diaspora is a different story. In Armenia, unless they have the best, smartest diplomat to run the country, Armenia gonna keep suffering. because this whole thing's to do with the diplomacy, and Armenia doesn't have that. Like Pashinyan for last 2 years, every week he throws kid, his wife, he goes in there in Paris, Belgium, Russia. He doesn't know what to talk about. All he come back is with more concession. You need a diplomat. And if Armenia cannot produce, hire somebody from outside. Really, there is nothing wrong with it. Hire somebody from outside to become your prime minister, your president. They don't know how to run a country. And we in diaspora, we're frustrated of those things. People like you and other try to do their best. But Armenia need a diplomat, not just military equipment things. That's how you get a diplomacy. But unfortunately, there is no diplomacy in Armenia, diplomatic-minded people in Armenia.
And Wally, just like I did with my film, I didn't go into politics within Armenia at all. I kept it just to the subject. What I tried to do, and the mission of Truth and Accountability League is really fighting defamation and disinformation for the Armenian people, and not really getting into the
I understand
internal Armenian politics, because that's just a whole other separate thing. I think we can all do more. We can all do more. All of us can do more. We're not powerless, and we can't be defeatists. I know that there are a lot of Armenians who are tired. They are disillusioned, become apathetic. Maybe, they've heard this and that, and I don't discredit any of it. But right now, we cannot afford to be checked out. We can't afford to be burned out, because our enemy is so much bigger and stronger. So we have to be, as you said, we have to be more clever and diplomatic and work through all of this. We have such a huge educated diaspora and resourceful, and by large numbers affluent even. So if we put it all together, our resources together, we can really move mountains.
Yes.
I truly believe that. I truly believe that, because even though Turkey has a population of 80 million and Azerbaijan 10 million, because they're not the ones that have been victimized, they're not as activated, right? So the powers that be, the big machine of Azerbaijan is really their government machine. It's all of their government-sponsored programs that are sort of meddling in all the world affairs to paint Armenia and Armenians in a bad way. But the people themselves, even though Azerbaijanis have been brainwashed to hate Armenians, we Armenians are, because we have the wounds of the Armenian genocide still fresh, and this last 2.5, 3 years has really refreshed that wound. We're a lot more activated, and we've got to push through it. We just got to push through it and stay positive, and just as I said, we've got to walk and help Armenia go through this extremely challenging period in our history.
Very much.
Yeah.
Like, we in the diaspora, we didn't get all those countries recognize Armenian genocide just by snapping fingers. They're all worked through local governments, state governments, in all other countries. And I don't know if today's situation Armenians are in, we were able to do this. Because before we were united. It doesn't matter what the political party, organization, everybody was doing that. But now I don't know, like it's just...
Well, Wally, if I can share this, because I understand what you're saying, and I wish we were more united, but we have to live life on life's terms, right? This is where we are. If you look at the big picture, this hit that we've had this attack is still really new. In the larger picture, 2.5 years is not a lot. And it's not like Azerbaijan attacked Artsakh and then they just left it. They keep going at it, right? So we are sort of still in this sort of early stages of, we are like trying to figure out what on earth just happened, right? So, because we didn't expect this to happen, not like this. So some of it has to do with the fact that it's such a they really, the blow was so powerful that we've kind of are trying to figure out just to kind of stand on our feet. And a lot of us have gone to the next stage of actually getting activated, but as you say, we've got to constantly encourage unification. We can all have different opinions, obviously, there always will be, but we have one objective, and that's for the survival of Armenia, Artsakh, and Armenian people. Now, I'll give you an example. I've always been Democrat, registered Democrat. I voted for President Biden, but having seen that just after recognizing the Armenian genocide, he lifted Section 907 of the Freedom Act and gave Azerbaijan 100 million, and did it again last year, and will probably do it again this year. I said, well, you know what? This is no longer a partisan issue. I'm going to condemn his administration and what they're doing, and I have. And I've actually written to him and said, I'm not voting for you again. I will not. Because what's the point of recognizing the Armenian genocide if you're not stopping one now? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever boilerplate Armenian genocide statement that your staff is going to write for you to sign, I reject it. Because to me, it's like, it's not a Democrat or Republican or independent issue. It's now we have to have one thing in mind, and that's the elected officials that we've elected, whether it's national level or state or local, are they doing everything they can? And a lot of them are not. Yeah. And again, I criticize the Democrats just as much as I criticize the Republicans.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, and I really think your project, it's a pretty good project, and I hope Armenian will try to help and contribute to it and join to it. Sometimes it's just paying money, it's not the whole thing, but this need everybody's eyes, like you need million eyes to focus on this, as you mentioned about Wikipedia and others, every areas. And
absolutely. And people can write me. Go to the website truthandaccountabilityleague.org, and you can write me and contact me if you have some resources, or if you want to volunteer, if there's something you want to share, or just kind of put it on our radar. Please do. You can contact me through the website.
Yeah, it's a good project. So anyway, I'll let you say the last word, whatever you want to say, and we'll just close it, and hopefully we could do more of this.
Thank you, Wally. No, I appreciate your show, what you do. You're a soldier for Armenian people. We all want the same thing. We all want Ejmiadzin not to be turned into a mosque. I know that's an extreme thing, but you just never know what's happened. Unity, and all of us do a little bit more than what we can comfortably do. Just go to the next level of philanthropy and benevolence and volunteering and all of that. And please visit truthandaccountabilityleague.org. Thanks, Wally.
Thank you. All right, so we really like to thank Vic Gerami took his time and came and explained this stuff, and I hope all Armenians, doesn't matter what your background, what association you have, this is something really Armenian need, because at least we could do this. We don't have the military to go do it, but we could, intellectual stuff, sometime it help more. And so I thank you for watching, and I hope you continue. And next we're going to talk about Havrizk. And Havrizk is in a small village, is in northern Iraq, and they're really in dire need. We need to help them, so we're working to see if we come with some projects, how to help. I have no idea, but we're going to let you know. We're going to have some shows on this. And again, thank you. Have a nice day.